So, what has gardening and running a handmade business got in common? Absolutely nothing, and that's the point. Confused? If you saw my video from a week ago, that will probably make sense. But if it doesn't, don't worry, I'll explain it at the end. But for now, we're going to have a little chit chat about burnout. And I thought I'd start with sharing my experiences of my burnouts because I like to make the same mistake over and over again before I learn them. Car just went past. I'm not getting distracted. Not today. Okay, so the first time I experienced burnout was about 2 years after I turned the shop into a serious business. And the reason why that's relevant is that I was working a part-time office job, building up my Etsy business and trying to look after my daughter at the same time. Frankly, I'm surprised it took me 2 years to get my first burnout, which perhaps unsurprisingly then, my second burnout happened almost exactly a year later. So my daughter hadn't quite started school by that point. So again, it was the juggling. Okay, and then came the third and biggest burnout I've experienced, which was about not long after we moved back to Wales and I'd quit my office job. My daughter was at school, so on paper, things should have been simpler. But I wasn't so much at the building the shop up stage by that point. I was making a really steady, good income from Etsy, and it was all consuming. I mean, I can remember having my fabric laid out on the floor and an entire day would be spent just cutting the pattern pieces from it, and then the next day just sewing them up to a certain point, and then the next day sewing them up to the next point. And it was a bit like I had my own one-woman factory line going on, and it was just carry on! It was intense. But it wasn't just the busyness that caused the burnout. There were 3 other reasons, yes, I'm just counting that I've got the right amount, fingers up, that had an impact as well. 1, it was now my only source of income and I was reliant on it. I no longer had the safety net of my office job. 2, and I've touched on this in the past, didn't actually enjoy the products I was making. And then, and I've talked about this before as well, Etsy brought in a mountain of changes. Etsy sellers did feel very battered at the time. All of that led to the mother of all burnouts, and I hated sewing anything. And I want to say that last year, 2020, I felt the tendrils of burnout creeping in again. This time, however, after three times of falling prey to it, I had finally recognized the signs and I was able to take action. So the 4th burnout never came. It came close because of lockdown over winter and the whole pandemic mess that we've all been through. And I think many of us have come close to it. I'm not going to be that arrogant enough to expect that we're all going to experience burnout in exactly the same way and we're all going to recover from it in exactly the same way. So I can't tell you what to look out for and what tips to recover from it because I've only got my own experience to draw from. But I will share that with you. So I'm going to tell you what the signs look and feel like for me, and then I'm going to tell you what I do, and you can take from that what you will. Okay, so how it feels early on. You know, when you're looking at a scene and it's all very beautiful and there's colour and sound and there's a feeling to it, it's very light-hearted. Burnout, to me, feels very similar to depression in that all of a sudden the colour seems to drain from that picture. It's just you're seeing it, but you're almost detached from it. It feels very much like you are going through the motions of life and you're not getting any joy from it, which sounds really, sounds very dramatic, but it doesn't feel it. It just feels like all the nuance and feeling just is taken away, and what's left is just numbness. At the very beginning of burnout, that is very much how work can feel. Interestingly, not necessarily life full stop. Burnout has a cause, a stressor, and if you can remove that from the situation, it improves the whole situation. I'm not sure that I'm making much sense, but I'm trying. So work-wise, I'm feeling very overwhelmed. My head is very, very full and I am tired all of the time. and I can't focus on anything. So I might have a list of things that I need to do, and I just can't sit down and do something because there's just no focus there. It's like a butterfly flitting from flower to flower. That is what it's like, only less happy. In a nutshell, you don't feel drawn to work. You feel pushed towards it. Right, so you get my drift. That's how I feel when burnout is creeping in. I start to feel overwhelmed, stressed, and I can't focus on anything. So how do I recover? There are 4 main things that I know will work, providing I give them enough time. Number 1, it might be difficult, but I switch off social media and the news, because those are the 2 things that I find the most draining when I'm starting to feel burnt out. I need to reduce the noise coming in so that I can start to hear my own inner voice again. So yes, news and social media can do one. This one is trickier, but is one of the most important things to do, and that is to scale way back. And by scale back, I mean responsibilities. So during the pandemic, my daughter was at home. One of my responsibilities, my new responsibilities that I did not want, was homeschooling. Couldn't get rid of that one, would have loved to. So, okay, that one was here, and I sacked off my Etsy shop. I also reduced the amount of content that I was producing on Patreon, and then towards the very end, when burnout was really hammering at the door, I stopped making content altogether. In fact, I kept the bare minimum that I could to make sure that I could keep things ticking over at home financially, but without doing any of the extra work. Waiting for a car? Or a bloody great big JCB. I just got distracted out the window, damn it! So whatever that looks like to you, scale way back. But yes, I mean, it's so important. I can't even read out what I've written here on my list. Let's just say I've put scale way back. I've put lots of A's, and I've even underlined the way. And then I've written bare freaking minimum. And we'll leave it at that. Number 3, sleep. Guard that boundary with your life, because you will need sleep more than ever. It's not a weakness. You don't get any medal because you've been powering through and hustling and working late into the night. There is a reason why people sleep. We need it for our health. When our kids are tired, even before they get tired, we send them to bed because we know they're going to be good for nothing, and it is going to damage their mental and physical health if they don't get enough sleep. And yet for us, we think we can carry on working until God knows what time. No, we can't. So get your sleep. I am mum face about this. And now I circle back to the start of this video. Get yourself something that has absolutely nothing to do with work. Essentially, what you're looking for is something that is going to make you forget work for a little while. Something you enjoy, something not related to your work, and something that just helps you switch off, even if just for a very small period of time. Something that you can pick up and put down as and when, that will just help keep on refreshing your head and give you a minute. And the last one, this is one that we'll probably all struggle with, because I know I do, and that is allowing it to take as long as it takes. You cannot speed up recovery. That's not how burnout works. It's not how mental health works, full stop. It takes as long as it takes. And in my personal experience, the faster I've tried to recover from anything, the slower it's been. And finally, I will say this. Burnout is usually down to a stress or a source of stress. You need to find a way to fix the source of stress. So to circle back to my biggest burnout, the fix was to stop Etsy from being my only source of income. And I started diversifying and changing up my entire business model. It was a process and it took a couple of years, but it means that I am now at the position where my Etsy shop is slow because it's closed and I'm still paying the bills. So those, my friends, are my experiences with burnout, how I now recognize the signs of what it looks like and how it feels, and what I do when I start to feel it creeping in to make sure that I don't burn out. And I'm so happy to say that the 4th time I felt it coming in, it seems to have worked. And a winter lockdown smack bang in the pandemic, I think was a pretty good test of whether or not that works. So that 4-prong approach seems to work, at least for me. But remember, everyone is different. I share this stuff in the hope that it will help someone else, but I am by no means an expert of distraction. If you want to know anything about how to be distracted, try filming YouTube videos right in front of a window. Great for light, not so great for attention. And on that note, this is going to be a bugger to edit, so I'm going to go now. Bye.